All right, what's going on YouTube? Rob here.
And this is Nick.
We are here to go over a video, an instructional video for technical indicators using trend lines. So how can you use trend lines to basically set up the charts to allow you to use technical analysis and read the charts in a more efficient manner, plot out price targets, plot out trends on the chart, where you think it's going, and everything in between. So, Nick, why don't you take us through this chart? Looks like we have Bitcoin pulled up here. And if you want, you can just give us a brief explanation of why someone would use trend lines. And then why don't we start off with like what the first most basic trend line is someone can use that they could just implement right away and start making better calls, better trades, better predictions with.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as you can see here, we do have the weekly Bitcoin candle chart pulled up here, which each one of these candles is 1 week's worth of time. So I like zooming out because trend lines seem to work better when you are zoomed out, when you are on the longer term time frames, because there's just a lot more time for those to play out. So what is a trend line? It's basically a straight line that you draw that catches the wicks. I like to draw them at the candle closes, and we can draw another one here. This top line I would call the resistance trend line, and the bottom I would draw down here like this. That would be the support trend line. So once you have this drawn, you can kind of see how Bitcoin was bouncing in between. It was a good time to buy when it got down to the support trend line down here. It was a good time to sell when we got to the top. Now, what do you do down here if it finally does break the trend? Now, you can see here, once it finally broke the trend, it was actually a good time to sell because it was showing that the sellers had more control of the moment, control of the market at that moment. So that's basically, we're on TradingView here, by the way. If you guys have that, you can just go to tradingview.com. It's a free application to use, and to draw the trend line is this first little indicator right up here. You click here, and you can kind of just draw it however you want. I'm going to delete that one. But that is basically for Bitcoin. As you can see, we're still kind of in a bearish moment here for Bitcoin based on breaking down from this trend. If we zoom out even further, we could draw an even longer term bull trend down here at the bottom to kind of give us an indication of where we might see some support. That's kind of a more difficult one to draw here because we don't have a lot of touch points. And because these are linear trend lines, and Bitcoin historically has traveled in more of a parabolic path. So let me see if I can get this to get a couple touch points and see where, if we do break down from these lows at the 20,000 range, where we could possibly go. So let me see. It's kind of interesting that what I'm seeing here when I'm drawing. This is the first time I've drawn the support trend line, and we're seeing the support down here around the $12,000 to $13,000 range. Which, if you follow other technical analysis with Bitcoin, that would be a very strong area of support as well, because that would be retesting the breakout level here, getting a little bit more advanced. But yeah, that's basically trend lines in a nutshell. Rob, do you have any kind of questions on what I'm showing here?
Yeah, I think another just like very simple one would be, all right, if I'm trying to like one I've used is, okay, we're in a bear market at the time of this recording. People are trying to predict how low can Bitcoin go. A very simple thing, like say we were up here and it's like, okay, the trend is looking bearish. We're breaking through this resistance. How low can we possibly go? And at this point, we were in the mid 30,000s. It's like, okay, well, you can look at the chart to see where support and resistance was. So a simple thing you can do, say you're back in time around here and you're trying to predict, okay, what are some like key support and resistance levels? You can take this, zoom out and be like, okay, this is the all-time high here. I'm going to draw a straight line you know, to here and be like, okay, well, if there's a lot of support resistance at the $20,000 range, that could be a potential bottom because we're back testing previous all-time highs. And then you can draw another one here and be like, okay, well, we had some all-time highs here as well. So anything in this range could potentially be a really good buying opportunity. So that's how I like to use trend lines, not so much on the horizontal way, more on just like the straight across way, just to kind of like plot out for my price predictions based off of previous and support and resistances. And this is actually exactly what I've done. I've drawn these lines and I'm like, okay, anything below 20,000 and in the teens is a really good buying opportunity because there's a lot of buying below this level, and it's very unlikely we'll get below this level. So if you see anything in this range, that's pretty much a guaranteed good buy opportunity. And you can also do this on a shorter time frame if you're doing shorter trades, shorter time frame day trades, swing trades. So this works on any coin, not just Bitcoin, but we're just using that now because that is the most notorious and widely looked at coin. So that wraps it up for me and my trend lines. I think those are two basic strategies you can use, implement right away. It'll get you started with trend lines and giving your own technical analysis so you can make better trades. So I think that wraps it up. Unless you have anything else to add, Nick.
No, I just want to talk a couple more minutes about this. I actually wanted to draw another bearish trend line here to see kind of what point Bitcoin needs to get above to break out of this bearishness. I'm tired of the bearishness. So I kind of want to like just use this as kind of, if anyone's watching this, to kind of see. All right. We've got lines drawn all over the place here. Let me delete a couple of these so this is a little bit more clear to see. Okay, so out here on the weekly chart, it looks like we need Bitcoin to clear. And actually, when I say clear, I'm talking closing a candle. We can get wicks all the time that violate these. Like as you can see, um, like say you drew a trend line like right here. You got to make sure you're looking at the candle closes because there's a lot of times like emotional events will happen and you get these wicks, but the closing is what is the most important, especially on these longer term time frames. So if we do get a weekly candle close on Bitcoin above, at this moment, if it's above like 24,600, I would say that would be pretty bullish for Bitcoin. But until that happens, I've got to lean bearish. So at least in using trend lines for making the analysis. Um, so that kind of wraps up my thoughts on trend lines. It's a very basic and simple tool to use, but it's very powerful if you understand how to use it properly. Other than that, you got anything else, Rob? Any other questions?
Nope, that was it. That was all done on TradingView. That's the go-to trading chart analysis for pro traders and the like. So we'll wrap it up there. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one.